All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast, the hottest podcast here in the South Florida area, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. We'd like to welcome you all to our podcast. We are joined here this afternoon with Florida State Representative Mitch Rosenwald from District 98. He is joining us here this afternoon on our podcast, and we're going to be talking about some of his accomplishments and what he intends to accomplish if elected again. So we would like to welcome State Representative Mitch Rosenwald to the Adams Brothers Podcast. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Good afternoon. Really appreciate you guys having me and being able to broadcast live here in Broward County and beyond. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome, sir. You're very welcome. So for the people that aren't, familiar with who you are, maybe some people just moved to Florida or from another state, and they'll be voting for you in the future. Just introduce yourself a little bit and tell them about who Mitch Rosenwald is, and if you want to tell them about your past political history, you can. You have the floor.
Great, thank you again. Thank you, and thank you for everybody tuning in live or watching this later. Mitch Rosenwald. I am currently the state representative for House District 98. So just real quick, House District 98 includes, I live in Oakland Park, the former mayor there. So all of Oakland Park, it's a lot of Pompano Beach from Dixie Highway West. It's a lot of Deerfield Beach from pretty much Dixie Highway West, smaller parts of Lauderdale Lakes, Fort Lauderdale and Tamarack. So we all represent, there's 120 state representatives, and we represent about 180,000 people because, Florida is big with 23 million. But just a little bit about myself. I'm from Maryland. So of course I like seafood. I grew up with crab cakes and all of that, and still haven't had the best crab cake in Florida. I still have to go back to Maryland for the best, but we do pretty good down here in Florida. I'm a social worker. So I actually have my master's degree and actually my doctorate. I have worked in helping families, making sure kids are safe. I've worked with senior citizens. I've worked with homeless individuals, done therapy. And right now I work at Barry University as a professor. So have very committed to the community, but also see, the trauma that people face. And so do provide therapy. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And like you gentlemen, everybody watching, interested in civic affairs, society, doing good for the public service and for the community good. And so back in 2016, I thought, well, let me run for city commission down here in Oakland Park. And so finally made it. It took a year as a mayor. And then when there's an opportunity, Representative Patricia Williams, she was term limited. You can run for a maximum of 4 2-year terms. And then prior to her was actually Representative Gwendolyn Clark-Reed in Deerfield.
Right.
So when Patricia Williams's term was, when she couldn't run anymore, I threw my hat in the race. And finishing up, I was very fortunate to be elected to be everyone's state representative. And now, there's a re-election coming on. So it's a 2-year term, so I'm running for re-election. So, that's a little bit about me right now, but definitely love seafood.
Yeah. Okay. So you were the mayor of Oakland Park one time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what year was that? I know you may have said it in the introduction. I may have went over my head a little bit, but
Oakland Park's a little different than a lot of the other cities. So like in Pompano Beach and Deerfield and Fort Lauderdale, and many cities, you elect the mayor separate. Oakland Park's a little different. You elect commissioners at large, and then based on like the tally of how people get voted in, they rotate. So I was always a commissioner, and then I took a turn my third year. So I got elected in 2020. So the year of 23-24, I rotated into the mayor position for 1 year.
Right.
So around
kind of like that at the county too, right?
It's exactly like that at the county. Like right now, Mayor Bogan is the Commissioner Bogan is the mayor for 1 year. It's exactly like the county. Yeah.
And if you maybe I missed it, but if again, what year were you elected as the state representative for District 98?
In 2024. So I was sworn in, as all of us are, in November of 24. So it's a 2-year term. And so there's, I am running for reelection, and then state senators are have 4-year terms. So they serve for a 4-year term and can run, but the reps, just like Congress, it's 2-year terms. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Think you may ever run for state senator?
Pardon?
You think you may ever run for state senator here in Florida?
Perhaps, but right now, just focusing on my reelection, because that's literally the primary is August 18th. I'm a Democrat, so not this cycle, not this cycle, but maybe in the future. Yeah.
So, in your first term, you're coming up for reelection right now, and you've been in office now for almost 2 years. And tell us about some of the accomplishments that you have accomplished since you were elected in 2024.
Sure, thank you. And my I'm not going to make this too political, but I'm in a minority political party in Florida. I think most voters, I'm sure you both know, most viewers know that the Republican Party, has a supermajority in the House and Senate, and obviously Governor DeSantis is a Republican. So, as a Democrat, we certainly have to work with Republicans to get anything done, but also we have to be a voice when we disagree. But I was fortunate this term, my second year, got to know people on obviously both sides of the aisle, and of course in the Senate too. And I think 2 of the bills I'm proudest of, they just became law. They just became law. Governor DeSantis signed one literally like Friday or Thursday, and then he signed another one about a month or so ago that I'll tell you about. The one the 2 I'm proud about, the one is actually down in Pompano Beach, and it's in the Blanche Ely and Sanders Park area, and I think soon to be hopefully in the Collier City area of Pompano, but let's see what we can do for Deerfield and everywhere else. It's what's called the Florida Children's Initiative. The Florida Children's Initiative gets funding from the government, and what it does is it's for youth mentoring. The idea is, we hear unfortunately about the school to prison pipeline. Well, this is an antidote. This is called cradle to career. And so what that does is it invests in youth and their families with money, with programming, youth mentoring, affordable housing programs, to family preservation, to help families, who may need, there's sometimes some very young parents who might need some assistance with, parenting and that sort of thing. And so this is money that's going to be, the Community Foundation of Broward is going to be helming this, and it's been signed into law. So it's about, right now, the Blanche Ely and Sanders Parks neighborhoods of Pompano Beach to invest in that area, and then we'll see how we can expand that. So that's one. It's so cool to say law, because I just got some bills passed into law that I didn't get done my first year, but the second year I finally figured out how to do this stuff. The other one I'm pretty proud about is Governor DeSantis just signed this, I want to say last Thursday or Friday. We all care about our veterans, and veterans are popular, whether you're blue or red or purple with your political affiliation. I'm the grandson of both my grandfathers were veterans, and everybody's connected to a veteran if they're not a veteran themselves. Obviously, there's Gold Star families who've lost a loved one to service. So this is a law now that says for Broward County and 3 other counties, it establishes the policy framework. I'm going to go back as reelected to get some money for this program next year. It's basically, there's a shortage of housing for veterans who need to rent. There's a list of veterans who are waiting for rentals in Broward County and really throughout the state. So this program takes Broward County and 3 other counties, and what the program will do is it would say to landlords, hey, if you hold your apartment, this is for rentals, if you hold your apartment for someone who's going to be discharged, in a month, up to 45 days, or someone who's been out 20 years discharged honorably, they have their voucher from their VA voucher for housing, hold your apartment, and the state will pay you up to 45 days the rent prorated the rent you would do, and hold their apartment, like show some preference to veterans, because some of them cannot get housing, and some of them end up, as unfortunately, tragically homeless. So on the front end, it pays the landlord to hold. It's an incentive. On the other end, on the back end, if when the veteran who's the tenant leaves, or if they're even evicted based on a problem, it says to the landlord, okay, yeah, keep the security deposit if you need to, but if there's damages up to $2,000 beyond your security deposit, like a carpet needs to be replaced or whatever might happen, the state will show your receipts up to $2,000. So the goal is to provide incentives for landlords around the state and here in Broward to hold their apartments for veterans. I would like to, moving forward, expand this program, not just around the state for veterans, but for many populations, people coming out of hospitals, people who, have served their time in prison, frankly. And, it's very hard sometimes for people coming out of prison to find jobs or housing. So this idea of landlord incentives, I think, is an important thing for us to think about. And I welcome, everybody's thoughts. So those are two laws I'm proud about. Lastly, I'll just say in a couple more, like just for some money. One of the things we do as state representatives is we work on policy bills, but we also try to get money for the cities like Deerfield or Broward County or nonprofits. And so in Deerfield Beach, we got it through the House and Senate. Governor DeSantis we're waiting for him to sign. We hope he doesn't veto. He's allowed to veto. But got about $500,000 in the budget, but DeSantis's determination, if he likes it or not, for Oviedo McKeaton Park. There's, as some of you may know, you guys know, but as some of the viewers know, there's lots of basketball courts there, but there's no covering. And so this is a aluminum pavilion that would be put in to block the heat. Let's invest in our youth so they're not like passing out from the hot sun. So funding like that, which I've gotten some funding, in Oakland Park for the study of an overpass over Dixie Highway, which we know can be a dangerous highway. So pedestrian overpass. So that's just some of the things, gentlemen, that I've been working on and wanted to share. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely the covering for the football field, basketball courts definitely is needed here in Deerfield Beach. I definitely would like to see that at pretty much if we can get it at all the facilities here in Deerfield Beach, because we all already know the Florida sun is very brutal.
Right. And we've been on this podcast. We've been advocating for that. We brought that up a few years ago about covering the basketball courts and the football fields. And of course it has to be researched and put into the budget, and it's up to the commissioners and the city manager to, add or delete it, so, but yes, we've been fighting for it, and hopefully we could get that.
Hopefully the governor sign it, right?
That's great to hear. I mean, I'm sorry, these things take a while, but I'm glad I didn't know that this idea came up for the basketball. This is for the basketball, not for the football, but football can be next. And what you're saying is so important, because it just takes citizens like us, right? To talk to your commissions of the cities you're in, your commissioners. You always talk to staff and get more than one person and be like, please, let's have youth come and say, please, can you cover the football field? This stuff is not cheap.
It's not.
It's $500,000 from the state, but Deerfield Beach, they're encouraged to match it. I think they're going to get it out of their own city commission budget. I'm not positive. This is like I'm not a construction guy, but almost $1 million or around that to cover a massive basketball. Who would know it would cost that much? But things are so pricey.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We hopefully that happens, and hopefully the city, if it passes, the governor signs it, and hopefully they can come up with the $500,000 to match it. So we'll see. But good job. Wayne, go ahead.
State Senator, I want to ask you something. You were saying earlier about, with the Republicans, we know the Republicans are the supermajority here in the state of Florida here. Representative, if you have one criticism of the Democratic Party right now, what would it be? What would it be right now?
Of the Democratic Party? Well, I think we've been a little slow. We're getting better now in our messaging. We kind of were fighting culture wars, and we just need to focus on cost of living. We really need to focus on cost of living, and I think we're, we as President Obama once said when he was in office and he lost Congress, he's like, we took a shellacking. I always remember him saying that word, a shellacking, because people, it's not a common word to say. And we got a shellacking, when President Trump, not just President Trump, but here, Governor DeSantis really won by large numbers, as did Senator Rubio before he, went on to become the Secretary of State. So Republicans outnumbered Democrats by over 1.1 or so million voter registrations. But I just saw that I think this is more national, NPAs, right? No party affiliation, kind of fed up with both parties, or like we just care about the person, not the party. That continues to grow. So I think as Democrats, we just have to reconnect with working class. This is how we started. Working class, not billionaire party, working class, talk in everyday language. I'll be honest with you. I was at a fundraiser actually, and some people were saying, lose the affordability word. Just call it cost of living. You don't need these fancy words, affordability. Like, just call it's cost of living. Things cost too much. I think we need to have a minimum wage of at least $20 an hour. Guess what? We're going up to 15 based on what the voters voted for years ago. But there's no appetite. There's appetite for me. And I think most of the Democrats and maybe a couple of Republicans, but there's no appetite to be like, Washington State or some of the more progressive states and raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour, which I think is very fair, right? I don't think it's crazy to raise it to 20, but right now there's not an appetite. Yeah.
And
good.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So just to sort of finish the question, we just need to continue to focus louder and firmer and more consistently. I'll even say, like, as this person said to me at a fundraiser, like, and this was like a Democratic fundraiser out of state, they're like, lose the term affordability. If it takes 5 syllables, like, just be basic. It's cost of living. Things are too expensive. Just talk more. We need to become, with our roots was always in the working class, people of all races. We helped with unions. We helped with civil rights. And we just got having people like live the American dream and realizing not everybody, it's not like an equal playing field. And so just get back to the roots. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have left the Democratic Party because I believe that they're saying, and these are people that I talk to that are Democrats that voted Republican, and they're saying that the Democrats are getting soft. They're always trying to reach across the table and with the Republicans and be, be nonpartisan, and the Republicans are really aren't interested in that, and that's what they're saying. They said they need to get just like the Republicans. If they don't want to, just pass it. Because that's what the Republicans are doing right now. They're just, hey, you either get on, we're gonna pass it with you or without you.
Yeah, get it. So we have to be tougher, but also, once you're there, like myself and my fellow Democrats, we have to talk. If we go up there, we can, we could do all we want. We'll get nothing passed. And so we have to still work with them. But we need to be tougher. You're seeing some of these. I can't believe I'm going to speak about him right now. But the senator, the U.S. senator candidate for Maine, Plautner, he's got some personal challenges, to be sure, and some concerns that I would have personally. But the reason he's resonating is he's this tough guy, or a tough female. Like look at the governors, the new governors of New Jersey and Virginia, Abigail Spanberger and Mikey. I'm forgetting her last name, of New Jersey, but like Spanberger. These are tough women. It's this toughness. So toughness as a style, like boxing. My grandfather did amateur boxing, but also focus on as they say, the kitchen table issues. The Democrats always succeeded when we focused on working class and middle America. And that's how we succeeded. So We go, Republicans had an autopsy. Democrats are now having our autopsy. What happened? How did we get better? And these are the things. It's the message and it's the delivery.
Okay. And also, State Representative, I like for you I was just reading an article and it says Florida property tax cut amendment could cost local governments nearly $12 billion a year by 2031, economists say, and that was at CBS News today. I'd like for you to tell our viewers about what's being proposed that's gonna go for the voters to vote on in November about this Florida property tax cut.
Sure, I'm happy to tell you about it. I did not support it, but and there were actually two Republican senators, I think, who voted against it too. But and I think one Republican representative, I think, but it passed. So what this means is that in November, the voters will have a choice. So besides all the candidates, for all the positions, there will be the paragraph. Do you support this? Yes or no? And there might be some other things. This is a property tax relief. It sounds great on paper. Who doesn't want to get relief? And so what it is, and then I'll share a little bit more. It allows for a $150,000 additional exemption from being taxed in the year 2027. And then the following year, 2028, it allows $250,000 you can claim as a homestead exemption. Right now, you can just claim 50 of it. And again, it sounds good and theoretically, sure, many of us own homes or obviously know people who own homes. It sounds great. But here's the issue. And I know this because I was a mayor, right? Mm-hmm. The police, now Deerfield Beach your commission is determined to move back to a city police model from BSO, as you all are aware. But whether you have city police and city fire, you contract out with Broward Sheriff's Office, and then you have, they're putting in sidewalks in front of my street. I could show you, but I won't. I had a bulldozer literally in front of my driveway yesterday. My swales torn up, and that's fine, construction, piping. But all this stuff, parks, police, fire, streets, when you flush your toilet or when there's a rainstorm, where does the water go? The city takes care of that. So when they reduce if cities are going to be able to tax you less, right? If they're getting all this revenue that you said, this loss coming into Deerfield, Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, Oakland Park, Lauderdale Lakes, but as well as Broward County or Palm Beach County, it's all 67 counties. How are they going to pay for stuff? The cities are going to have to absorb this somehow else. They might have to raise a fee. They might have to raise the millage rate, because if your house is more than $250, you still owe taxes. So where does the money come from in this plan? And now this referendum for the voters, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say we're going to add $5 to every non-Floridian who rents a hotel room, a bed tax, tourist development tax. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say we're going to raise sales tax a quarter of a point. Okay, those are ideas we can debate. It doesn't say anything about where we're getting the revenue. So cities and counties, if we're used to trash pickup twice a week, if we want recycling at all, if you have, sorry to say, if you have roadkill in front of your house and you call the public works of your city, they do come and, remove your roadkill. These services will either stop or they'll be reduced, or you'll have to pay more fees. I just mentioned Avita McKeaton Park. It's free to go in there. And I'm not saying it won't continue to be free, but the city commissions will have to determine, do we need to charge $2 for park entry? So it's kind of a smoke and mirrors, tell us where the money's coming from. Right. And then, but there's no source of that money. And that's what's a problem.
It's shifting, to me, it's shifting the responsibility from the county to the local municipalities. They're basically saying, look, we're not going to give you this money. You have to find creative ways to make it up.
Well, that's what the governor said.
That's what the governor is saying.
He said the local governments have to tighten their belt. So yeah, it's the devil always in the details. We definitely want to see.
Yeah. And let me just say here, publicly, I would support, you got 50,000. I was just talking to an elected official who I won't name, but I said, Democrat, I would support like going up to 75,000 and maybe 100,000 over a few years, so cities can like plan like, okay, can we get to 75 if we're at 50 in 2 years? Can we get to 104 in 6 years and maybe stop there? I'm okay for some smaller incremental. I also think the issue is, of course, property insurance. I co-sponsored a bill for Florida too, because what I hear from voters or residents more than about taxes is property insurance. Obviously, if you own a home and if you rent, your
that's killing us.
Yeah,
your landlord passes it. There's a thing called the National Risk Pool, and not Florida, but other states are in it, can opt in. And what it is, it's a national risk pool. So California has earthquakes, Kentucky has tornadoes, and we have obviously hurricanes, although knock on wood, none so far. What it does is, like, if Florida can opt in, then we can get our property insurance nationally. See my point? And the more, if we're with people from Kentucky and California, then it just spreads the risk. So the idea is the premium is lower. But unfortunately, that bill, Representative Skidmore from Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, and the senator, that's their bill. So I co-sponsored. I'm like, let's do that. But unfortunately, the powers that be in the House and Senate didn't hear it.
Yeah, they're getting their pockets padded. That's why. Pretty much. That's what's happening. They're dumping money into their campaigns and everything. So that's why they won't pass it. It's just plain and simple. You don't have to say it. I'll say it.
Yeah.
That needs to be looked at, though, a national pool. I had heard about that years ago, and I said to myself, I think that would be a good idea, that, like what you're saying now, the national risk pool, that would be definitely something to, hopefully they can come back and bring back up and
everybody pay into it.
I believe we'll, as Democrats, bring it up again next year. We'll figure out who, there's 34 of us right now. We hope there's more. Once we get to 40, I guess I'll be political here, right? As once we get to 40, we're no longer a super minority. We're still a minority, but we have ways of slowing down the process. You all remember in Texas, they were a minority, not a super minority. So when they had concerns, I think it was about the was it redistricting? Yeah, it was redistricting.
Yes, it was redistricting. Yes.
And every Democrat left and were in Illinois. I don't quite know where they were. It's not shutting down government isn't like, we want government to be operating, but they took a stand. And they didn't have a quorum. Right now, it doesn't matter. I mean, I hate to say this, but this is the truth for your viewers. If you're a Democrat or Republican or independent watching this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're not there. I hate to say that because they have a quorum, because they have over 80 people, 80 Republicans. But if they have, if there's 40 of us and, under 80, then they need us as a quorum. So that's what we're waiting for as Democrats in the state. We see a positive, just going north of us. Donald Trump's state representative is a Democrat, Emily Gregory, so she just won a special election.
Yeah. And state rep, if reelected again, what is probably one of the biggest sacrifice you will be willing to make for your constituents?
Well, I want to hear from constituents. I mean, I hear from them all the time. I have 2 staff members and people contact us nonstop, and I go around. I was at the Lauderdale Lakes City Commission meeting just the other day. Just came to Fort Lauderdale Commission just literally a few hours ago, and it's about the sacrifice is just continuing to fight and be a voice. Yeah, I work behind the scenes to get some stuff done, but the sacrifice is also that you have to be a voice of opposition sometimes. The worst thing is to not have a voice, right? The worst thing is not, you have to keep, this is what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X both said. Different means, but like you have to have a voice. And so the sacrifice is just to continue to, I'm not a lonely voice. There are other Democrats who we all join with each other, but the sacrifice is to sometimes be the voice of opposition. but residents, I always want to hear from residents. And the number one thing is, in general, cost of living, whether it's healthcare, minimum wage, housing. I co-sponsored a bill the first year on Medicaid expansion. There's states redder than us. I want to say Idaho. I might be wrong, but there's some states redder than Florida who take Medicaid expansion.
Right, right.
Florida doesn't. We're not ruby red yet. We're not that red. I mean, we're not super red. There are still Democrats in the state legislature. Look at some other states. They barely have any. So we're still a significant minority. So we're hoping to change the tide. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And State Representative Mitch Rosenwald, my final question for you is, we have friends that work for the school board here in Broward County.
Mm-hmm.
And Broward County is facing some tough cuts. They're closing schools, and some think that they're afraid right now that they're gonna lose their jobs. Like we have some friends that's been there for over 30 years, and they're uncertain now about their future with the school board. So my question is, what ideas can the state representatives here in Florida come up with to try and maybe save these schools, or is there any money that they could help from the state level to come in and try to hold the school board and let them and help them out? But I mean, it's a lot of people's jobs are at stake right now. So what are your thoughts on these cuts and what can be done at the state level?
Sure. Well, what it takes is for us to come out of a super minority and even get to a majority as Democrats. This is political and partisan in a way, because the Republicans in Florida, as some of you know, are allow people to use their state dollars for private schools, for private tuition, right? People can just take state dollars and invest that in private schools. We have not abandoned, but we have largely decimated our public schools and supported people, Floridians, going for taking it into private school vouchers. So you want to eliminate that. And we fight for that all the time, but that's the sacrifice, but we're not heard. I mean, I'm aware of this school. I think we're on the second round of school cuts, if I believe, in Broward County. They're saying it's not impacting the teachers, but I'll tell you, what I just heard. I'm going to get wrong on the number because I just heard it real quick, but I want to say like 60 or 90 social workers and other mental health professionals. Remember, I'm a licensed social worker, are slated to be cut. Now, I don't know if that's happened yet, but like a good amount of social workers and other mental health providers. You don't want to cut the frontline staff. You don't want to cut bus drivers. Yeah, there could be some bloat, right, in the in middle administration, but the schools being cut and people being laid off that are, direct service, bus drivers, crossing guards, SROs, the school resource officers. This is a direct result of the Republicans in the legislature divesting, right? Not taking an interest in our public schools. This is what's happened. And they're putting money there, this whole voucher system that people can go to private schools with state dollars is wrong. And so we really speak up. I want to do a kudos to Representative Robin Bartleman of Broward County, who's and actually Senator Roslyn Osgood, and they both were on the Broward County School Board, as your viewers may remember. And they're real champions, as we are too. But the two really take leads because they were on the Broward County School Board. We just have to keep fighting, but to eliminate a solution, to eliminate state dollars to parents to go to take those state dollars and apply them to private schools. Let's reinvest in our own schools, but they just abandoned them. And by the way, when you go to a private school and say your child's been diagnosed with autism or whatever, like some sort of disability, they're not required to help your child. In a public school, they're required. Individualized education plan, physical therapist, speech therapist, what have you. Schools are required to help the kids if they're in public school. I learned from Representative Bartleman actually last year, no such thing exists in private schools. And guess what? They can just tell the family and child, sorry, you're out of the school. We're not re-enrolling you. So there's little safeguards on these private schools yet. It's state money. So we want to stop the use of state dollars going into private schools with the vouchers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, Wayne. That was my final question for you because
State Representative, what specific criteria do you use when evaluating a piece of legislation you're going to be voting on or presenting?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Well, I have an answer for the two different parts. If I'm presenting it, and trust me, I learned this the hard way. I got no bills passed my first year. I had 7 bills, none got heard. This year I got 3 passed, and thankfully signed by the governor. I do a lot of prep work, so we don't go back until December for committee weeks, and the session starts. It's staggered. When it's an election year, we get out typically in March, so we just got out. But next year will be March to May. So even though my bills will be due by March 1st or early March, I'll be working on them. I have ideas for them already, but I'll be working on fleshing them out around with my staff first, and just plenty of stakeholders in Broward County. Just whether it's appropriations to get some money or whether it's policy, I'll be working with stakeholders probably from around the state, community groups, coalitions. I'll be working with staff that are on the different committees. I'm on a lot of the healthcare committees and human service. So healthcare budget, which oversees Department of Children and Families, veterans, disabilities, senior citizens. So I work with staff, lots of staff and the community to make sure the bills are good. And then I talk to the Republican chairs of the committees before I even start. I think everybody should do this, regardless of your party. Republicans do this with their own party. You want to make sure that all the questions are answered and that it will be on the agenda. You can have all the bills you want. If it's not put on an agenda, it's dead. That's what means dies in committee or subcommittee. So there's a lot of behind the scenes. To your first point, Wayne, in terms of the how do I evaluate a bill? Just it's not mine, which are most of them. If it's good for us, District 98. If this is a bill that's going to help the welfare, the health, the human service element, the community welfare, people's spirits, maybe not their souls, but people's spirits. Is this going to help people or is this going to harm people? And talking about the private school voucher and all of that, I don't support that. That harms public schools. But there's a lot of good stuff we pass bipartisan. There's stuff we help. We did something on pediatric cancer. We did something on animals that are violent. We do stuff on flooding. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's actually bipartisan. So I think of my 6 cities and the county I represent and the 180,000 people I'm honored and humbled to represent. And, as a social worker, I have that background, to even before elected office, to sort of talk with people and understand what their needs are. So that's how I evaluate the bills that are good and the bills that are harmful. Yeah. And I talk to my colleagues, obviously.
Okay. And the primary election is coming up in you got another question?
Yes. Yeah. State Representative Mitch, I'd like to know, how do you feel about gun control here in the state of Florida? I know recently we had the concealed carry law that was put in place and the open carry, and it was much upcry. People thought it was going to be the end of Florida, and we haven't seen any of that. I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-Second Amendment. But I just want to get your thoughts on gun control in the state of Florida.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pro. I don't own a gun, but I might own a gun one day. My father had dozens of rifles and guns and taxidermy animals that he had hunted. So I grew up all around guns with my father, who was an avid hunter, but taxidermied all his kill or all his big game kill. Guns are a Second Amendment right. So that's not maybe some very people on the fringe of my party may be like anti all guns. I think we have the right to bear arms, but things like safe storage and those laws didn't pass. We need to be able to store guns safely and require that. I did vote to there was a bill 2 years in a row. It passed the House, but it died because the Senate didn't take it up, to lower the age to 18. Right. Remember, after Stoneman Douglas, even Governor Rick Scott at the time raised the guns to 21, but it was lowered. It passed the House. I voted no both last year and the year before, and then it passed, but then it died because the Senate didn't pick it up. Right. So Republicans in the Senate didn't want to do that. So that's where I am with that. In terms of, I think you're right. The open carry, people can have concealed weapons. And I'll be honest with you, it's so horrible, all these shootings, but, if someone is, if you're at a mall or something and something happens and, on the one hand, the person has a gun, they take care of the bad guys, right? And we're appreciative. And that's that perspective. On the other hand, there can be someone with a gun who goes crazy, right? Like it's sort of like both sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. I was concerned. I'm not a real fan of open carry. Publix actually just reversed their stance. All the other supermarkets like Winn-Dixie, they were like, no, but Publix was like, yes. But then just a month or two ago, Publix changed their policy. I think Walmart, I don't want to speak for Walmart. I can't remember, but like Publix changed their, Winn-Dixie was no, yes. And then Publix became a no. So I'm generally not a fan of open carry.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was just wanted our viewers to know, because to be honest, I believe, and I definitely believe in sensible gun control, but I believe also too that has hindered the boogeyman syndrome, has hindered the Democratic Party from having voters from the Republican side of the aisle come over because of the fear mongering, and some of it has been legit. But again, we, with the concealed carry, the world, Florida's gonna, go to hell. With the open carry, Florida's gonna go to hell, and we hardly. I watch the news every day, and I pray to God it don't happen. I pray it don't. But we haven't seen all that fear that everyone thought they was gonna see.
That is an issue too. You hear the younger voters that would potentially vote Democrat. They were like, well, the Democrats, they're not for guns.
Right.
And they want to, restrict the capacity of a magazine, the bad guys, and these are issues that the Democrats need to loosen up a little bit. Look, guns is always going to be a part of American history.
Yeah. Okay? Explain it better.
It's going to be a part of our lives, whether they like it or not. They need to, and I'm a registered Democrat myself, and I'm pro Second Amendment.
Sure.
Would I go and open carry right now? No, I would never ever do it. Never. Maybe if I'm out in the woods fishing in the backwoods somewhere, yeah. But as far as walking down the street like these First Amendment auditors would do, you would never see me do nothing like that. That's just crazy,
Right, and I know the police sometimes they're against the open carry because they get confused on who's good and bad. I think you see the Democratic Party on focus on safe storage, background screenings, and the third one is I'm forgetting the exact phrase, but it's about basically screening for people with mental illness and that sort of thing, so they don't get the guns. You raise an interesting question. May I ask you a question? Are you thinking should the Democratic Party shift and embrace open carry?
Yes.
Okay.
Give them a choice. Let the people have a choice. It's all about a choice. Don't just take it away and say, no, it's not going to work. We're not going to, give them a choice. Put it on the polls, put it out for a vote. Let them vote on it.
Well, the governor already, it's already, there's no vote now. And if it would have been, I would have voted for it. But again, we for sensible gun laws. Near a school, on a school, or a government building, I'm all for that. For the background checks, and I'm all for that. again, we just haven't. It's just, I believe, state rep, it's just too much fear mongering about guns when it come, and that scares a lot of people from crossing over the aisle, voting Democrat. Like my brother say, we hear it all the time.
We hear it all the time that
we do.
Democrats need to, they need to support guns. We hear we know about the shootings at the school. None of us are for that. We're not. That's just crazy. People go and shoot up school, but guns is a part of the Constitution. The right to bear arms is the Second Amendment. It's one of your Bill of Rights.
Exactly.
Just loosen up and support the guns, and this and that. Could I live without an AR-15? Yes. But if they want to own it, let them own it.
Well, I own 2 of them.
You have to loosen up some things here, and if you want to not be a part of that super majority, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
Right now, we don't have any power in the state and around the nation, because the Republicans, they run everything right now.
Yeah,
and this is part of the reason why.
And guns are just as much American as apple pie, as they always say. So people need to understand guns are in our society, and they're always going to be here. So
I think
we just have to take more precautions and around kids. All of that.
Absolutely.
I'm for all of that. Trust me, I'm for sensible gun laws.
Right.
And I just wanted to get your take on that.
It's a good point. And, should we as a national party, there's a platform and all of that stuff, and things change over time. I mean, it's something that we should review and make some decisions on. It's a big tent too. But I hear your point, because it's like the Democrats need to be tougher. And this might be one way, right, to show a little more toughness. Yeah.
And that's
the Republicans are winning because of what? That tough guy.
Yeah.
The Democrats are right now looked at as being soft,
weak and
weak. So as a state representative here, when they need to get that message, look, we need to toughen up.
I hear you.
We need to toughen up because we're looked at as pushovers right now. So, hey, that's just coming from the locals here that we talk to out in public, and on our jobs and at church and everywhere. When we talk to people off the record, this is what they're saying.
Yeah,
and this is no joke. Absolutely. So let's talk about, before we let you go, let's talk about the primary. The primary is coming up in August, and when can the voters here in District 98 vote for you when your name is on the ballot?
So it's going to be August 18th, which is a Tuesday. That's election day, and and then there's early voting, and that's going to be, I think, 9 days. So let me just look at a calendar real quick. I believe the Broward County Supervisor of Elections has the exact dates, but it's going to be 9 days. They skipped the Monday before election day, so 9 days is. I believe it's going to be. Excuse me, just looking at my calendar here. Right, 9 days. So I believe it's going to be Saturday, August 8th. If I'm counting correctly, that's 9 days. And then they skip the Monday, and then it's election day. So around August 8th is, but it's not just for me, it's for, all primaries, whether Democratic primaries, there's Republican primaries, if there are. Some people are running, unopposed in different seats. Want to let you know your city and your county commissions, any of those seats, wherever people are, that's all in November, because you're non-part. I mean, people have a party maybe, but you run as nonpartisan at least in the cities. Yeah, and Deerfield's March, obviously.
And how could anybody that would like to donate to your campaign? How could they donate to your campaign?
Sure. Okay. They just go to, thank you. You go to Mitch. So my full name's Mitchell, but I go by Mitch, MitchRosenwald.com, and be happy to appreciate your support. And, or if people want to volunteer or, canvass, knock on doors, or be at the polls. I think I've done I approach this all as a social worker. That's what people are like, why are you doing this? It's like, I'm a social worker. This is kind of like what I do. I believe in, I'm from Maryland. I worked in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. I've worked with real people on real issues. I talk to people about life, death, cancer, trauma, racism, stigma, poverty. It's what I've done for over 25 years since I got my master's degree.
Right.
And so I've worked with all, 100-year-old, or maybe not 100, like 90-year-old people. And I've worked with, little kids. So I approach this all as to be the social worker for the community. My staff and I help with people with constituent services. So we problem solve, helping people with getting access to food stamps, to SNAP, Medicaid issues, veteran benefits, driver's license stuff. So we help with that piece. But I think, I've supervised my staff, and I think I've done a good job. The voters are holding me accountable, I guess, when for the re-election for me, and then passing some common sense bills to help out, as I mentioned, in Pompano Beach with that children's initiative, the appropriation. Just one of them in Deerfield Beach, or the one I have for Deerfield for the basketball, for the pavilion to block the sun. We hope the governor signs that. I know that's out of my control. I can't just call up the governor. I don't have that clout with Republicans. So I think I've worked hard for the people, and just appreciate this opportunity to share and also to listen, and would really appreciate people's support. It's an honor to do this. It really is.
Yeah, and we also appreciate your help at the American Legion Post 287, I believe, with the air conditioning and some other things that you're doing up there too. We appreciate that because we frequent the American Legion Post 287 in Deerfield Beach with Commander Anthony Royal.
And
he's
sorry.
Excuse me, he's amazing. And that you're reminding me that's next Sunday at 3:00 is the reinstallation.
Yes, the installation. Thank you for reminding us. We tell our
the Women's Auxiliary.
Yes.
And and if you are on social media, speaking of, you'll say you're a social worker, but are you on social media? And if you are, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you just type in Mitch Rosenwald. There's a couple different sites. One's like my state representative stuff, but it's just Mitch Rosenwald campaign. Mitch Rosenwald for state rep. I'm not on TikTok, but I am on Facebook and Instagram. So just Mitch Rosenwald. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we've been talking to Florida State Representative Mitch Rosenwald. He is the District 98 representative here in Broward County, Deerfield area here. And he's up for his name will be on the ballot in the primary election on August the 18th. He's asking for your vote. And good luck to you, sir. And if you win, we'd like to see you come back on here again. It's nice. I'm sure I'll run into you somewhere here in the near future. I'd like to meet you in person, but thank you for your work and that you've done in your first 2 years, and hopefully good luck to you in your quest to be reelected again.
We'll see you at installation, though.
Appreciate it. I'll see you, and I'll look forward to. I know Wayne, but I'll look forward to seeing you, sir, on Sunday. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll
That's
be there.
this Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, installation up there this Sunday. Yeah.
I think it's Sunday at 3.
Mitch Rosenwald, State Representative in District 98. Thank you for joining us here on the Adams Brothers Podcast, and we'll be looking to see you here on our podcast again in the near future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back with a pop-up podcast. Stay up. We'll be right back.